The day I got out of prison, I walked 10 miles to the place I used to call home, only to find the door dead-bolted. A note screamed, "Stay gone, we replaced you with a real son," and laughter inside. I called. My father picked up, heard my voice and spat, "You're a disgrace. You're dead to us. Don't ever show your face again." Then he hung up without a second thought. I just grinned and didn't knock. I left one thing on the porch. Now they won't stop begging. "Please forgive us. We made a mistake. You're still our child." Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so this is going to sound fake, but I swear it's not. I'm not the type to post, but I'm honestly at that point where I kind of want people to see what actually goes on in families like mine. Maybe it's just venting. Maybe I want someone to say I'm not actually nuts for being this angry. IDK. I guess I'll just throw it out here. So yeah, 28 and just got out after almost 2 years. Nothing wild, not like some serial killer, just a bar fight that got way out of hand. Wrong place, wrong time, and I was the one who got handed the worst of it, because my dad's always been the local pillar of the community type, and I'm basically the family black sheep. I always thought getting out would be weird, but not like this. Anyway, I didn't have anyone picking me up. Wasn't a surprise. My mom stopped writing like a year ago, which was honestly the biggest hint that something was off. I still had the house address in muscle memory, so I figured I'd just walk it. Like 10 miles. Not the end of the world, even if I looked like a zombie by the time I got there. I looked like garbage, wearing what they gave me, carrying my little clear bag. Absolutely zero dignity. People stare when a guy looks like he just crawled out of a ditch. But whatever. I had one pair of earbuds left that still worked, so I just spammed old playlists and tuned out. But the weird thing, walking up my old street, I noticed the house looked different. Not like it had been trashed or anything, but the front yard was too neat, like someone had actually trimmed the hedges. There were new curtains in the living room window. Mom never cared about that sort of thing, and my dad sure as hell didn't. There was a car in the driveway that I didn't recognize, not even a nice car, just some old sedan. But still, the whole vibe just felt off, like someone else lived there now. I guess I should have been ready for it, but I wasn't. I fiddled with my keys, the same ones I'd had since high school, and tried the door, and the deadbolt stopped me cold. I could hear voices inside, like actual laughter. But not my mom's, definitely not my dad's, just voices. I knocked once, then realized there was something taped to the glass. It was this ugly neon sticky note, and I could tell my dad wrote it because he always does all caps like he thinks it makes him sound more serious. It said, and I quote, "Stay gone. We replaced you with a real son." Yeah, for real. Who TF does that? I was just standing there, feeling like the dumbest guy on earth. The voices inside got louder like they were purposely ignoring me. I knocked again, harder, and that's when I heard someone say, "Just leave it. Don't answer." That was definitely my dad. I don't think I've ever felt more rage in my life. It wasn't even sadness, just this cold, "Are you seriously doing this?" kind of anger. I could hear someone else laughing, a guy's laugh, but not anyone I knew. I didn't even want to see their faces at that point. I took out my phone, yes, prison phone, so it's like a brick, and called the house. Didn't even know if they kept the number, but whatever. After 2 rings, my dad picked up. He didn't say hello, just went, "What do you want?" Like I hadn't existed for years. I told him it was me. There was this silence, then he just said, "You're a disgrace. You're dead to us. Don't ever show your face again." Then he hung up. No hesitation. No, "I'm sorry." Nothing. I just kind of stood there. I guess I expected it, but not like that. He sounded like he wanted to spit in my face. I could feel my fist clenching without even thinking about it. I wanted to break the damn window. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I just looked at that stupid note again, and I started laughing. Not because it was funny, but because it was so pathetic. Like who replaces their own kid and puts it in writing? I stepped back, looked around, and realized the neighbor across the street was watching me from behind her blinds. Classic. Then I heard a thud inside, like someone shoved a chair or something. The laughter stopped. I could hear my mom saying something, but I couldn't make it out. I just stood there for another minute, not sure what I was even doing, then pulled out my old keychain and took off my house key. I left it right on the porch on top of that note and just walked away. I didn't slam the door or anything because I never got inside. I just left my key, because honestly, what was the point? They already made it clear. I heard someone inside say he's finally leaving, and then a door slammed. I walked down the street and I didn't look back. I was angry, but not sad, not even embarrassed, just done. A couple blocks away, I checked my phone and had like 3 missed calls from a number I didn't know. I guess word travels fast in this neighborhood. Then I got a text from Marco, this guy I kind of grew up with. Not really a close friend, but the only guy who never treated me like total trash when I messed up. He said, "Yo, saw you outside. You good?" I just texted back, "Depends what you mean by good. I'm not dead, but that's about it." He sent back a skull emoji and told me if I needed a place to crash, let him know. I said I'd figure something out. I kept walking, no clue where I was going. I just knew I wasn't sticking around to get humiliated by people who never gave a in the first place. I started thinking about that real son line and who was actually in the house. I know my dad's always wanted a golden boy, someone who didn't screw up, didn't embarrass him. Pretty sure he found some way to make that happen for himself. Wouldn't put it past him to move in some cousin or something, just to keep up appearances. He's always cared more about looking good than actually being good. Anyway, I know how my dad works. He thinks he can just erase people who make him look bad. He did the same thing with his own brother years ago, over some stupid argument about money. My mom always went along with it, even though I could tell she hated it. Now I guess I'm just another person he's erased. So I didn't knock again. I didn't try the window. I just left what I had to leave and walked away. But I wasn't done, not even close. I already started thinking about what I could do to make them regret it. Not going to lie, I'm not above a little payback, especially when someone goes out of their way to humiliate you like that. They want to play hardball? Fine. I know all the family secrets, all the weak spots. I'm not just rolling over for these people. I guess I'll update if people care, but for now, just know I have zero intention of forgiving or forgetting. They wanted a real son? They can see what that looks like when the one they had decides to stop playing nice. Update 1. Okay, back again. Didn't think I'd be typing this out in a random public library, but my phone's almost dead, and the Wi-Fi here is decent, so whatever. And yeah, the last post kind of blew up. My messages, half of it was people saying I should just cut them off and move on, half saying I should burn it all down. Maybe you're all right. All I know is I can't just let it go. I'm not even wired that way. So here's what happened next. After I left my key and that note on the porch, I crashed at Marco's for the night. Wasn't even going to bother with my family again that day, but Marco kept asking what the hell happened and why my dad acted like that. I didn't have any real answers. I mean, my dad's always been a control freak, but this was next level. I woke up to like 4 unread texts from numbers I didn't have saved, all basically saying don't come back, or just dead air. Not even my mom's number, just silence. Marco made coffee and just went straight in. You know your dad's got this new kid living there, right? I kind of laughed and said, what, did he order a replacement off Amazon? Marco just shrugged and said, nah, not like that. But there's this guy Armando, moved in like a year ago. Apparently he's the son of some family friends who moved out of state and left him behind. And my dad stepped in. Total look at me being a hero type. I just kind of stared at the wall. For him, I barely remembered Armando. He was always quiet, always did whatever adults told him. I asked if he was the one laughing yesterday, but Marco said he didn't know. So here's where it got weird. Apparently my dad has been telling everyone that I'm gone for good, and Armando is like the new golden boy. He tells people Armando's respectful, helps around the house, never causes drama, and doesn't embarrass the family. Classic. My dad always cared more about what the neighbors thought than anything his actual kid was doing. I guess being in prison was all it took for him to just swap me out and pretend it never happened. Marco said he overheard my dad at the store one time just full-on trash-talking me, saying I was a lost cause, and he was lucky to have a second chance. Like I'm an old phone you just upgrade. I asked if my mom ever said anything, and he just shrugged. She barely comes out anymore. Doesn't go to the church stuff, doesn't join the block group chats, nothing. I don't blame her for hiding, but it's still BS. Honestly, the more Marco talked, the more pissed off I got. I started thinking about all the dumb stuff my dad used to get mad about. Like one time I forgot to mow the lawn, and he acted like I'd torched the house. He'd slam the garage door, shout about respect and discipline, but never once asked what was actually going on. He never hit me or anything, but he'd throw stuff just to make his point. Always had to win, no matter what. The real reason he hates me? It's actually simple. He can't stand looking bad. Anytime I messed up, got a bad grade, lost a job, whatever, it was about how I made him look. The bar fight was just the final straw. He showed up at the station, didn't even ask if I was hurt, just ranted about how I'd ruined his reputation. Told the cops I was no son of his. I guess that's all it took. So yeah, Armando was the perfect solution for my dad. Not his blood, so if he messes up, no big deal. If he acts perfect, my dad gets to brag about saving someone. Easy win. I get why Armando went along with it too. He needed a place, my dad needed a prop, and nobody really cared what I wanted. After hearing all this, I started thinking about what I could actually do. Not just passive like blocking their numbers or moving away. I wanted them to feel it. I started making a list in my head of all the stuff I knew about my family that nobody else did. Like the fact that my dad is super behind on property taxes, or that he's been hiding money from my mom for years in these dumb rainy day accounts. I set up a bunch of their stuff online before I went away, and I knew all the passwords. Not planning to do anything illegal, but I sure as hell wasn't going to keep making things easy for them. Later that day, I went back by the house, just to see if my key was still there. It was gone. But the note was crumpled up by the door. I saw Armando through the window, just sitting at the kitchen table looking at his phone. He looked up, saw me, and straight up got up and closed the blinds. Didn't even say anything. I guess he's just doing what my dad tells him. But still, it stings. I knocked just once, and nobody answered. I started to walk away, but the door cracked open. My dad was standing there, not even trying to hide the fact that he was mad. He said I needed to leave, that I was making a scene, and that I wasn't welcome. I told him I just wanted to talk to my mom. He said she didn't want to see me, but I could hear her voice in the background. I said I'm not here to fight, but I'm not just disappearing because you replaced me. He stepped outside, pushed me back off the porch, and said if I came back again, he'd call the cops. I shoved his hand away and told him to go ahead. He slammed the door. I honestly don't care anymore if I look like the bad guy here. I'm not gonna let him just act like none of this happened. I texted Marco after and told him I was done playing nice. He said, Far, you should make them regret it. I said, watch me. So here's what I started doing. I logged into all the online accounts I set up for the house. I didn't delete anything, but I made it so only I could reset the Wi-Fi and the smart home stuff. Yeah, petty, but it's just the start. I also know exactly when the property tax is due, and I might have made an anonymous tip to a certain someone that the bill was late. Nothing illegal, just making sure stuff catches up with them. I called my Aunt Vera, who has always been the only one in the family who calls out my dad's BS. I told her everything. She was pissed, not at me, but at him. She said she'd talk to my mom and see what was really going on. I don't expect much, but at least now the family knows my side. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm not done. I'm tired of being the one who has to just move on while everyone else gets to pretend they're the victim. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm done being the scapegoat. If you're reading this and thinking I should just let it go, you're probably right. But that's not me. I'm not trying to heal or whatever. I'm going to make sure my dad feels every bit of the mess he made. He wanted a replacement? Cool. Let's see how long he lasts when things start falling apart. Not out here for sympathy, just letting people know it's not always some TV drama. Sometimes it's just ugly, petty, and real as hell. I'll update again when things actually start to break down for him. Believe me, it's coming. Update 2. So I figured I'd update since stuff has actually started happening, and it's honestly kind of wild watching it all unravel in real time. Not gonna lie, I thought maybe I was just being dramatic. But nah, the universe is serving messy right now. If you read the last post, you know my dad kicked me out and replaced me with Armando, the model's son. And yeah, I said I'd make him regret it. So here's how that's going. First weird thing. I was walking by the house like 2 days after I messed with the Wi-Fi and other tech stuff. Not illegal. I literally set it all up and paid for it before I went away. And I saw Armando standing in the doorway holding the router, looking like he was about to cry. My dad was out front yelling at him, not even trying to keep his voice down. It was some classic, you can't even do this one thing right energy. I just kept walking. I didn't even feel bad, to Baha. Then I started getting these random calls from numbers I didn't know. Not just family, but like people from the neighborhood. One of them was Mrs. Lewis across the street, who used to give me Halloween candy when I was a kid. She was all, your dad's been acting weird. Is everything okay over there? I just told her I didn't live there anymore, and she seemed surprised. I could tell she wanted gossip, but I wasn't giving her any. Still kind of funny how fast people notice when stuff isn't picture perfect at Dad's house. Marco kept texting me updates. Apparently, my dad was freaking out because the online bill pay for the house stopped working, and the water got shut off for like half a day. Again, I didn't do anything but take my name off the account, and since he never bothered to figure out any of it, he was just stuck. Marco said Armando tried to fix it, but just ended up calling my Aunt Vera in a panic. Vera called my dad and they got into it on the phone. She told him she knew everything now and wasn't going to cover for him. My dad hung up on her. Then she called me just to check in, and I told her straight up that I wasn't sorry for any of it. She said she didn't blame me. The craziest part, my mom tried to text me, first time in over a year. She just said, "Can we talk?" I ignored it. Not out of spite, but because I don't feel like being the emotional punching bag. I'm not here to fix their mess. I heard from Marco that she's barely talking to my dad now, and she yelled at him in front of Armando last night. Apparently she slapped the kitchen table so hard it made Armando jump. My dad slammed the back door and stormed out. I don't even know what they argue about anymore, but it's probably not me. They don't really fight about people, just about who gets to be right. The dominoes started falling for real when I got a call from this guy Joan, who used to hang with my dad at card games. He straight up asked if I was coming to the family get-together next week, and I said, nah, I didn't get an invite. He was quiet for a minute and then just said, sorry man, I heard things are rough. So yeah, word's getting out. Then Vera called again and said my dad tried to borrow money from her. She said no. He got pissed and started yelling at her, so she hung up. Vera doesn't put up with his crap, never has. I guess Dad thought he could just smooth everything over by pretending nothing happened, but now he's out of options. I know for a fact he's been using the rainy day money I mentioned before, and that's almost gone. The best part, Armando messaged me on Instagram, which was a surprise, since I haven't even looked at that app in months. He just asked if there was a way to fix the home Wi-Fi because he needs it for school and it's been down for days. I left him on read. I won't lie, part of me felt kind of bad. But then I remembered how quick he was to close the blinds on me, and I just let it go. Last night, Marco texted me from across the street. He said there was a full-on screaming match happening at my old house. My dad was yelling about money, Armando was yelling back that he wasn't a tech guy, and my mom was crying. At one point, Marco said he heard a door slam so hard the windows rattled. He said he almost called the cops but didn't want to get involved. Not gonna lie, I wish I could have seen it. I know people probably think I should feel guilty, but honestly, I just feel justified. Like, this is what happens when you treat people like trash and think you can just replace them. My dad wanted a perfect life, a picture for the neighbors, a real son. Well, now he has to deal with real problems. I didn't break the law. I didn't do anything that wasn't already my responsibility before I went away. I'm just not covering for him anymore. I'm not even done yet. I'm thinking about making sure all the stuff he hid from my mom comes out. Not in a way that gets me in trouble, just enough that she finally sees who he really is. I know exactly where he keeps his old receipts and notes, and I'm not above mailing a few of those to Vera if I have to. The family's split. Vera's on my side. My mom is somewhere in between. Armando's just trying to survive, and my dad, he's finally getting what he deserves. Honestly, watching all this play out, I'm not sure how it ends. But I'm not stopping. Not until they know what it feels like to be left out in the cold. Not until my dad gets that you can't just erase people and expect no one to notice. I'll update when it really hits the fan. Something tells me that's coming soon. Final update. So I was out walking past the old house again last week, just out of boredom, and Tiba, it looked way worse than I expected. Like, not just a little overgrown, but straight up neglected. Grass knee-high, bags of trash by the side, curtains all crooked. For a minute I wondered if they'd moved out already, but then I saw my dad's car in the drive, except it was parked crooked, like he just gave up halfway through. Weird little detail, but it stuck with me. He never used to let anything look messy, not even the mailbox. I kept my head down, hoodie up, but I could hear yelling through the open kitchen window. Not a fight, more like desperation, you know? I didn't even plan on being there, but it was like I couldn't look away. I could see Armando through the side window, pacing around with his phone, looking lost. Honestly, I almost felt bad for him for a second, but then I remembered how fast he shut me out. So here's what actually happened. After all the mess from before, I decided if they wanted to treat me like I was disposable, then I'd show them what it's like to lose the only one who ever kept their whole life running. No more fixing their messes. No more covering for dad's screw-ups, or hiding mom's credit card bills, or bailing them out with extended family. I just let everything ride out. And trust me, it didn't take long to see cracks. The last straw was when my Aunt Vera called and said my dad had tried borrowing money from her again. And when she said no, he told her she was choosing sides. She laughed and hung up. Then she texted me, "Your dad's panicking. You broke him, Angel." It felt good to hear it. Then I pulled the last move I'd been sitting on. Remember how I said I left something on the porch? It wasn't just the key. I'd printed out a list of every single thing I'd ever done for them. Maintenance bills, old account logins, even the way I set up the family calendar so my mom never missed her appointments. I left a note at the bottom that said something like, "Hope your real son can handle it." I taped it inside an envelope with a copy of some receipts I found in the attic months ago, stuff my dad hid from my mom, like cash withdrawals and a loan she didn't know about. Nothing illegal, just the reality. After that, things spiraled. Vera told me my mom found the envelope and completely lost it. She slapped my dad in the face, first time ever, and locked herself in the bedroom. My dad tried to talk to Armando, but Armando just walked out and slammed the door. The group chat for the family exploded. People started picking sides, and for once it wasn't just me getting trashed. The real kicker, though, my dad started blowing up my phone. Not just him, my mom too. Calls, voicemails, long texts, stuff like, "Please, we made a mistake. Can we talk? We need you." Full paragraphs about how they're sorry. They acted out of fear. They didn't know what else to do. Even Armando messaged, apologizing for his part and saying he never wanted to take my place. I didn't answer any of them. Not out of spite, just because I don't owe them anything at this point. My dad actually showed up at Marco's, tried to push his way inside. Marco literally shoved him back out and told him to leave. My dad tried to yell about family, about loyalty. Marco just laughed and closed the door in his face. So now the whole extended family knows everything. Vera told everyone about the money stuff, the way my dad tried to erase me, the real son note on the door. Nobody's pretending anymore. My mom keeps finding reasons to walk past the place where I left the envelope, like she thinks I'll be there or something. I just keep moving. I see her sometimes walking down the street, head down. She texted me again this morning. "You're still our child. Please, let's talk." Here's the thing though. I'm good. I'm not going to help them. I'm not going to fix their mess. I don't forgive them. And I don't need to. I did what I had to do. They got what they wanted. And now they see what it costs. Real life isn't about some big dramatic forgiveness. Sometimes people just burn the bridge and keep walking. So yeah, if you ever wondered if people actually regret treating you like garbage, they do. And it's not pretty. Don't let anyone tell you have to go back. Sometimes the best move is just to watch them realize what they lost and never give them a way out. I'm out. Thanks for listening to the whole mess. If you're waiting for me to say I went back or we made up, you're not getting that. Some things you don't fix, and I'm more than fine with that.